We're doing a survey around the country on the way population handles themselves and speaks and deals with their friends.
Okay, so boom. Okay. So, how long has it been since you graduated now?
I'd have to say
It's pretty recent, right?
Yeah,
Pretty recent.
just barely. I graduated in June, so
Fresh off
months
the boat.
in the months still.
Fresh off the boat. When
Fob.
did you so it's been a while for me, right? It's been a while for me. But there's something I will never forget from school.
Your high school experience.
Right. And that's definitely I think it was freshman year. Sexual education, bro. Sexual education.
You had it in the 9th grade.
I had it once. I had like the introduction to sex ed when I was like in the 7th grade, but then they had to do it again because y'all must have forgot. You know what I mean? That them STDs were soaring, and then the teachers were like, "You must have forgot. We got to do this again."
Once
right?
more.
So tell me, like, what was going on? How was your sex? Because I hear this across the board. Everybody has a very different experience with sex ed. What was yours like?
Yo, mine was straight up non-existent.
What?
Yeah, bro. So here's the thing. You know how at elementary school you have maturation or whatever, and it's like the pre-disposure for when you go into high school later and get sex ed for real.
Yeah.
They tell you about how you're going to go through puberty and stuff. I left the country right before that. I went to go visit my grandmom in Australia, and I missed that, came back to school, went through middle school, and then when I was doing 9th grade, I came back for 9th grade, and I was supposed to take sex ed as my very last class of the year, like my last class period, the last quarter of the year, because it's only like in Utah, it's only like one quarter. It's like a month or two. And I just never ended up going. Damn. Like they let me slough it, and no one ever counted it. And I mean, to be honest, I sloughed a few other classes too, but I sloughed it because it was easy.
So who taught you? Like, who do you remember ever somebody doing that thing where it's like, hey, like,
it was the boys, and
the boys. You got
it was the boys, and then
boys.
sophomore year sex ed, because they ended up finding out that I did not attend enough days to have passed, so I had to go back through. And even then, it was like, it's a Utah thing, really. Yeah. And I was in a really Mormon area too, but it was subpar. Yeah. Like they just gave me the scientific facts. Like this is a uterus. These are the ovaries.
What does that have to do with
this?
Sex?
Is the this
like
is the
I mean, like
fallopian tube.
like that's sex ed, right?
This
but
is
like,
the
what does that
fallopian
have to do
tube.
with
These
anything?
are the testes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, sex ed is such a weird thing, right? Because it's freaking teachers, right? It's grown ass people who know damn well everything about sex, but they're saying it from a point of view of like science,
a sciencey sheltered,
right? Like for instance, right? I'll never forget this. One time they were talking about AIDS, and they were like, yeah, the way that AIDS is made or whatever transmitted is the mixture of fluids. That's what they said, the mixture of fluids, right? So one time, dude, this is how dumb I was. Like, so like I was young, bro. So I go into the bathroom and there's already piss in there. I peed in there and I was like, guess who just created AIDS?
Just in the toilet bowl, you got little AIDS swimming around.
And then another kid walked in. And I was like, hey, be careful. There's AIDS in there, bro. Just to give an example, right? Like they're not really doing justice.
Did they ever do the banana in the condom with you?
No.
I never got that either, bro.
I think that they just, because first of all, none of us had bananas back then. So it wouldn't have been. True. Most of us don't have bananas now.
Yeah, it's true.
So what would a banana, right? Like what would a banana do?
True.
But yeah, back then, and it was weird, right? Because it was always like these freaking old ass teachers.
Yo, and it was usually a crusty dude.
Either a crusty weird dude or a crusty old teacher. I will say though, I think that my sex ed teacher was like a hardcore freak. Like she did that shit for a reason. I'll never forget.
She wanted to be a sex ed teacher.
I'll never forget her, bro. Her name was Mrs. Zoo.
Oh, yo.
Bro, she would like. I'm not saying that she was attractive, but just the way that she was like carrying herself. You ever see like older people that you know that are active just by the way that they're walking around?
Bro.
Like, why are you walking around like
they're,
that?
They're a
Bro?
little happier than people their age.
Yeah,
they actually
bro.
smile here and there.
She was like one of those older women who have like long hair down to her butt.
Oh, word.
You know, like
Yeah.
I see what you're doing, Zoo. I see you. So yeah, and that brings me to another point, right? When I was in school, the good old days, teachers were old and ugly the way that they're freaking supposed to be. I don't know who thought it would be a good idea to be having 22-year-olds teach 18-year-olds.
Yo, am I
That
right?
doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, literally, you're playing with fire, bro. You are playing with fire. The other day, I saw this freaking like YouTube video. It was like a school compilation or whatever. And I'm looking at all these videos, bro. And almost every single one, there was like a hot teacher.
For real?
I'm like, when the hell did this happen,
When
bro?
did they get hot?
When did teachers get hot? Why couldn't
actually-
y'all do this back then?
Yo, that's actually facts. My senior year, it didn't happen until my senior year, but my senior year, a whole bunch of the faculty super old. We had people like in their 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Like 5 or 6 of them retired, and they got taken up by young suckers, bro.
Bro.
My English teacher was 21, and all the girls, we were seniors. All the girls in my class thought he was so fine.
Do you think that that's a good idea?
No,
Absolutely not.
no. School, when you're going to school and during high school, those are the people that you interact with most during the day.
Yeah.
And statistically speaking, the people you interact the most with
You're
are the
gonna
most
bang.
likely gonna
You're gonna
bang.
You're gonna
Yeah.
mess with 'em. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's just, you gotta be pretty sold on the this is my job. And even then, you never know what could turn ahead. That's kind of playing with fire. You're right.
Listen,
You're
bro,
right.
there is no amount of money you're about to get me in there with a bunch of 18-year-old girls. There's just no way in hell, bro. There's no way in hell. I joined a job that was mostly meant for a reason, right? Like, that's playing with fire to the extreme, to the extreme. Like, I don't get it. Like, why was that even a good idea? You know what I mean? And you know, another thing that pisses me off is like, no one, I'm not going to say no one cares, but like whenever you hear a story about a hot teacher messing with like a 17-year-old, right? Or any student for that matter, right? They're always like, well, he was lucky. Or like, oh, you know, he wanted it. Or, oh, you know, that's not really rape. Or that's not really pedophilia, right? I mean, technically it is by law, but the way people perceive it, it's almost like it's not as bad as if it was like an old crusty Weinstein teacher that was preying on the hot cheerleader, right? I feel like these cases are going up, but because now both parties are young, right? It's like it's making pedophilia like sexy and romantic or something like that, and like people aren't really talking about it.
It's kind of
like
whack because the thing is, even though they are somewhat close in age, like 18 and 21 is not that far, but like the amount of maturity that you reach, I already know that when I'm 21, I'm going to be a whole nother person from where I'm at right now.
Even 21 to 23,
but
21
yeah,
to 31, like
exactly.
crazy.
And like when you're a teacher in that setting and you have malleable young people
In a
not
position,
it.
and especially in a position
in
of
a
power.
position of power,
In a
exactly.
because the power is where things draw the line. Like, so for instance, right? I remember back in my day, because we didn't have hot teachers, right? We would try to squint real hard and like basically be like, okay, yeah, okay, Mizzou, I see you.
Oh no!
Like, we would have to pretty much be like, because they're a teacher, right? We would pretty much, I guess, boost up their appearance, right? But now, not only are they just hot
Already
by
fine.
default,
They're already
fine
fine.
by default, but now you add on top of the fact that
You see
they
them-
are in a position of power.
They're in a position of power. You see them every day, and you interact with them a ton during the
You
day.
think they're cool. You think they're the homies. You know what I mean? You think they're and a lot of the times too is that these students have a lot of power on their hands, right? You say one thing, bro. You say one thing. I mean, you see it in the army all the time. Like, you know, you're a leader, you know, and maybe somebody takes something the wrong way. You know what I mean? Maybe you said something that's drawing that line, and all of a sudden your job's on the line. You know what I mean? That's you couldn't catch me out here in these streets like that, bro.
Dude, that's crazy. I couldn't handle that kind of stress.
No.
And also, like, just to think about it, these fine teachers coming in, like, they've got some shelf life, dog. You teach for a long time, bro. One of my teachers, well, he wasn't really my teacher. He was like a friend, but Mr. Sato, he's like 85. Yeah. Man was looking good and still teaching high school baseball. Like, still rocking it.
Yeah. I don't think it's a good idea to have freaking hot teachers in school.
Straight up, there should be an age cutoff if we're just going to keep it traditional like that. Be like, yo, you either got to be married or 30. Straight up.
Dude, the married ones be the worst. What you talking about?
Oh, no.
The married ones be the worst.
Oh, what's that movie? Like Mrs. Not Miss Robinson. Bro.
I don't know.
It's from, it's not even American Pie. It's whatevs, bro, but.
Yeah. Dude, I just, either way, I just hate the fact that, when things are happening in school, they like sway the amount of outrage it is depending on the person, who it is, how young they are, whether it was a guy, whether it was a girl. Like, if it's just going to be pedophilia, if it's just going to be inappropriate, let it be inappropriate. Don't play the freaking, identity politics and be like, oh, it was a young boy, so it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? It's a big deal the same way it's a big deal if it's your daughter. Same way it's a big deal if it's your niece. That's your nephew. That's your little brother. That's your son. Keep that same energy, bro. Keep that same energy.
Yo, but what we do got on our hands now is a lot more boys paying attention during class, though. We might get smarter.
I mean, yeah.
We might get smarter.
You ain't wrong.
Straight up, the boys might get smarter now.
Yeah.
You never know.
Maybe.
They competing for that booty, bro.
Maybe. If I had a choice, though, let's make teachers ugly again.
Bring back ugly teachers?
Yeah.
People are doing a survey around the country on the way population handles themselves and speaks and deals with their friends.